about you.
Speaking of performers, did you get a chance to talk to our next performer at all?
I sure did. Our next performer, he's a very funny gentleman. He is actually going to be performing on Tuesday, April the 17th at the Funniest Person with a Day Job competition at the House of Comedy at the Mall of America. We're very excited to have him here. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Alex Jaffe!
Cut the music. Hello, Die Laughing Comedy Festival. To the hundreds in attendance and the millions upon millions of Alex Jaffe fans streaming live online. I am Alex Jaffe. I don't want to brag or anything, but I'm kind of a big deal. I even have my own tour bus. On the side it says Greyhound. I used to be a stripper. I never said I was successful. But really I used to work in an office. And at this place we had Secret Santa. And it's really difficult to get a gift for somebody that you don't know. And I got Phil from accounting. So I decided to mess with this guy. So I got him a positive pregnancy test. And a note that says, "We need to talk." And that is how I used to work in an office. But I'm a comedian. But I've been taking this thing a bit more seriously. So I was advised to get headshots. Though I'm still not sure if I should be giving or receiving. I'm pretty poor. But if you factor in all the drink tickets I get from doing this, I'm solidly middle class. I've been going around town. I've seen all these stick figure families that people have on the back of their SUVs. And it just has me thinking that this must just be a checklist for a serial killer. They're just leaving the house like, God damn it, I forgot the baby. But I'm too poor to have my own family. But if I did have a son, I'd want to name him Choboy. So he'll think that he is the one all the rappers are hollering at. I don't have a kid of my own, but I am an uncle. My brother tries to pawn off my nephew onto me quite a bit, but I'm really too busy to watch him. So I've been practicing what's called passive-aggressive uncling. So I get the kid sugar-ripped before I drop him off. I just open up that car door and he just flies out and attaches to his dad's head. It's quite spectacular. I've even been teaching him jokes. This is the last one I taught him. What do you call it when you study abroad? Gynecology. And I don't have to watch him anymore. I think adoption is an amazing option because if the kid grows up to do something amazing, like become a doctor or a lawyer, you can go, that's because of my superior parenting. But if the kid becomes a loser, you can go, the kid was fucked up when I got it. I recently got a cat. I named it Choboy because I needed more indifference in my life. Have you ever taken a shit in your cat's litter box just to show it who's boss? Just me then, huh? There's a lot of ways people prepare for the end of days, whether it be hoarding food or water or guns. I have my own idea. I've been hoarding pornography. Because in the end of days, pornography is going to be currency. And like there's different price points to this stuff, and I'll have it all in my porno bunker. But due to the Trump presidency, I've had to speed up production of the porno bunker. So I can't tell you where it is, but I can tell you the password. Just listen very carefully. The password is... Jesus right. When I was growing up, I used to keep my porn under my mattress. And my mom had no idea why my bed just kept getting higher and higher. By the time I moved out, it was like a Princess and the Pea scenario. If the pea was a wad of spent Kleenex. Oh, that's fucking gross. I don't get along very well with my mom. I think it's because we got off on the wrong foot. When I came out as a baby, and not as a bottle of Oxycontin. You see, my mom's an addict and bipolar. So growing up, she had these weird language hang-ups, like we weren't allowed to say fart. Instead, we had to say pop. As in, did you pop? Or, sorry, I popped. To this day, I still can't eat Rice Krispies. When I was a kid, that was the era where, children were finding razor blades in their Halloween candy. And this really upset my mom because I never found any. My mom was also the one who gave us the sex ed talk, but instead of calling it the vagina, she called it the birth canal. So in my formative years, I knew of 3 canals: the Panama, the Suez, and the birth. The first 2 allowed ships to pass through. The last one, humans. Then again, they all accepted semen. When I was growing up, I used to celebrate Hanukkah, and Hanukkah was a really crappy holiday, and I know I had to live through it. A lot of people think it's great because there's 8 days of presents, where in actuality you get maybe 1 present, and everything else is like socks and school supplies. My mom was so cheap that she would wrap and like give us gifts of things that we already owned. So one year I got my 9th grade history textbook. I remember opening this up and going like, this is my history textbook. And she's like, no, that's not. You lost yours, so I got you a new one. And I'm opening it up and like, it has my signature in it. I don't really celebrate Hanukkah anymore because the first night of Hanukkah 06, our house caught fire and it burned for 8 days. I got in a shouting match with my mom. She called me a son of a bitch, and I got a little bit emotional because we finally agreed on something. This St. Patrick's Day, I celebrated by banishing the snakes from my apartment. I actually decided not to drink this time around because like how different types of drunks are, like angry drunks, happy drunks, and whatnot. I teleport. So I remember drinking in Uptown and then teleporting, like not like to the next room, but like to Lakeville. And I don't know how I got there. And then last year it came to a head when I decided to stay home because I'm thinking nothing bad can happen to me at home. And then I teleported to the roof of my apartment complex. I have roof access. So from what I gather, I must have scaled the side of that building like a drunk, pale King Kong. I travel around quite a bit, so I stay in a whole bunch of hotels and motels, and in every hotel I've stayed in, there's always a Bible placed there by the Gideons. I've never seen a Gideon, so they're like Christian ninjas. So I've been stealing all these hotel Bibles. I've been asking other people for their Bibles. It's gotten so bad that I have a whole moving box filled with pilfered hotel Bibles. So I have a friend that's an atheist, and every time I go over to his house, I hide a few Bibles. At first, it would just be basic places, like on the coffee table or in the bookshelf. But a few months ago, when he was getting his snow tires put onto his car, he got a phone call from the mechanic saying that they found 6 Bibles duct taped under his vehicle. He didn't seem to find that very funny. Dating after 30 is insane, especially with women who don't have kids, still want kids. Because at that age, every date is like dealing with a worker who really needs to make a sale. And every period starts to drop like a fucking boulder. Boom. Time is running out. Boom. I want my baby. Boom. Give me my baby. I want to get a dog so I have something to blame my farts on. There's a lot of inequality in this world. Like a dog can take a shit on a front lawn, but when I do it, the cops get called. I like winter, but I hate ice because ice is an asshole. This winter I slipped on the ice and I landed on my hand. And my fingers just swelled up to the size of sausages. So I went to the doctor to figure out what's wrong with me. And, when I'm checking in, the receptionist, asked me what's wrong. I just throw down this hand the size of a catcher's mitt. And it kind of scares her. And I end up going back to the doctor. And, the doctor's looking at their clipboard going like, what seems to bring you... Oh, my God! That is something you do not want to hear from your medical professional. So he looks at it and like, that's not good. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And he goes, well, just go get x-rays. Okay, so I go and get these x-rays done. I come back and he goes, well, you didn't break anything. I'm like, that's cool. What should I do? And he goes, which is another thing you don't want to hear your medical professional say. And then I left there like the same status I was before. Actually, no, I left there poorer than I was before because I had to pay the damn copays. That was not good. Cabaret is my favorite musical. That includes Nazis. Okay, then. I'm a lackluster badass. That means I use the Starbucks bathroom without buying anything. Have you ever thought of if the Dukes of Hazzard were from Canada, it would have been the Geddy Lee? A few years ago, I donated my hair to Locks of Love. So in order to save a few bucks on the haircut, I decided to enlist my dad for help. So here I am with my clippers, and I'm just explaining to my dad, like, okay, this is how you use the clippers. And there's a few different ways to use a clipper. There's like there's like a sweeping motion, and then there's like go and retreat. So the way that my dad was using these clippers was like, when a little kid is petting a dog, and they pet it a little bit too hard, so you can see the whites of the dog's eyes. That was pretty much me with the clippers, just... And here he is doing that, and then I'm just trying to tell him, like, no, man, go and retreat, go and retreat. So now he's just stabbing me with these clippers, and he's like giggling, and he's having like way too much fun with this. And then these clippers just stop working. So he takes said clippers and just throws them while they're still plugged in. It lands on the floor, the teeth just spray out, and where most people would just go, yeah, I'm just going to stop when I'm ahead, I go, hang on to my hair, I'm going to grab the scissors. So here I am procuring more sharp metal objects for this psychopath to use on my head. So here he is, like, you know, with these scissors, and I'm telling him, like, just take, like, leave like a half an inch on top, I can take care of everything. And he goes, I don't know what that means. And I'm trying to explain this to him, and he just starts hacking chunks out of my hair until he gets bored and walks off. And then I got to observe the damage. And the highlights were I had bangs, and I had like a foot-long chunk like right here. So I ended up having to spring for a haircut anyway. And, you know, the people at Great Clips aren't supposed to laugh at you. Well, they did. So they salvaged my hair the best that they could. And the haircut I was left with is something that I would call the Rachel Maddow. So I looked like her if she really let herself go. I also took part in the First Avenue Diamond Dog eating competition last year. And for those of you who do not know, a Diamond Dog is a quarter-pound hot dog that is wrapped in ghost pepper bacon, deep fat fried, and served on a pretzel bun. Yeah. It was gross. We have 10 minutes to eat as many of these things as we could. And this is noteworthy because this is my first time eating pork bacon. So they line up like 6 or 7, maybe even 8 of us, and we just start going. And I've studied these hot dog eating contests, so I think I know what I'm doing. So I shove like 2 of these hot dogs in my mouth. And because of the deep fat fried aspect, it's like I'm chewing a sweat sock. And I'm dunking the buns in water and the dogs and all that stuff. And then there's this greasy film that just starts growing on the glass of the pitcher in front of me, and that's starting to make me sick. The hot dogs, and the deep fat fried aspect are making me sick. So I start like dry heaving on the stage. And like toward the end, I'm just looking around at the other competitors, and I'm realizing I'm in second place. As long as I don't throw up in the next 3 minutes, I'm gonna win something. So with like all this intestinal fortitude, I'm just sticking it out. And there's these photographers from the city pages that are like roaming around, and they're trying to get these like up close pictures of me. And I'm just making these people jump when they get a little bit close by just going, and when a guy my size just kind of goes looking at you, it's like, you fucking jump. I mean, it was interesting because like you're looking out into this crowd, you know, there's all these adults, and then there's these kids just like sitting cross-legged like right in front of you. And it just seems like not good parenting to put your kids right in the splash zone. And so I finished this thing up, and I end up getting 3rd place, and I just book it to the bathrooms. And I remember just, you know, running into this facility, and I see this dad and his son just waving to me like, hey man, good job. And I go, cool man, and I blast past them, go into the stall, and I just start like supermodeling it. like really going for the gold, you know? And I'm like on my knees and I'm realizing like I apparently don't have a gag reflex. I must have been a porn star in a previous life. So I leave that bathroom feeling worse than I already have. And then I have to give an interview because I was approached by some local reporter. And I mean, it was probably the same unintelligible crap that boxers give after a fight. Like, oh, I gave it my best and whatever. It's like, she asked me, like, what is your strategy? Eat more hot dogs than the other person. Okay, back to you. Pretty much that was what it was. Yeah, that was pretty much my sports highlight. I think the only casualties in the Cupcake Wars were due to diabetes. Recently, I've lost 105 pounds from my heaviest. Yeah. I'm on the Stephen King diet, which means I hit a gypsy with my car. I can tell we have some readers in the audience. So I was walking around downtown Minneapolis a while ago, and some guy offered to sell me cocaine. Yeah, I was really flattered because he thinks I can afford coke. I mean, that stuff can lead to financial ruin. But if you've seen my bank statement, I'm already there. I once had a friend that dropped acid, and you best believe I scooped that shit up before he noticed. So a few years ago, I was walking to a friend's house late at night, and I realized I really needed to pee. I was afraid my bladder was going to explode like a water balloon. So in my darkest hour, I see my salvation. Bushes. So you best believe I Usain bolted it over there. So here I am just wedged in these shrubs doing my thing. And as I'm finishing up, I'm turning around and I see a squad car. Lights on, cop on the sidewalk. I knew I was screwed. So I got real nervous. I waddled towards the guy. I give him a big hug. I kiss him on the cheek and I pat him on the head. And I go, "Will you be my friend?" Cop's face goes all white. He backs up slowly, gets back in his squad car and drives off. And here I am just waving bye-bye to him until his car just disappears around the corner. And then I got the fuck out of there. But first, I put my dick away. And I think that's going to do it for me. I've been Alex Jaffe. Thanks.